Alright, so unfortunately this is going to be a car video. For some reason I hate car videos. It's distracting. You can't get into them the way you can if it's like you're sitting at your house. Anyway, see, like, I don't know what that was. Just trucks taking up the road. I was just about to rant about this. I'm so sick of being like a pushover nice guy. I just went to 7-Eleven to get cigarettes, and I'm walking out, and this guy is like approaching me, and he's got this warm, welcoming smile. So I'm not mad at this guy, but I could tell he's like nervous about something, and I'm like, I don't know, well, why are you even talking to me? And then I'm gonna hit a bridge. It's probably gonna knock the camera off, and then I realize he's conducting like a big 18-wheeler to pull into the 7-Eleven. Hold on, I'm about to hit a bridge. And I was just zoning out because I'm in Kratom withdrawal. And the guy had to keep like directing the truck, but he'd have to get my attention and be like, you could go. But he was nice about it. And I kept going, oh, sorry. I kept apologizing to some douche I don't even know. And it's not like he could even hear me. And I'm like, I'm done saying sorry to people I don't even fucking know. And the other day, I was driving home and I saw a sign, a big orange triangle sign. It said mowing ahead. And I'm like, all right, okay. And I'm driving, and you know how they have those construction workers or the prisoners in the vests that stop you with a sign that says slow or stop? They are basically human stop signs. So if I don't see a stop sign like 10 feet in front of my face, I'm not gonna stop. And I saw two big trucks, those white trucks with like the crane in the back, just in the road, and I'm like, screw it, and I just drove right by him. And then, like 2 seconds later, I realized I just drove into like this big ordeal that takes up a mile, and I'm like unsure of whether I'm just stopping and starting perpetually, looking at people. Oh, and then finally this fucking douche with a yellow vest, and I'm pretty sure it's like a prisoner, because that's what they are, they're prisoners. He just walks in front of my car while I'm going like 40 miles per hour. And of course I stop. I treat him like he's a cop, which he's not a cop. He's a felon. And all of a sudden I'm rolling my window down, apologizing. I'm starting the conversation off with, oh, I'm sorry. And this guy was just looking at me like I was such an idiot. He had this big, stupid mouth. And he was like lecturing me like I was a child. And of course what I did was childish. But like, and then I'm apologizing just so this guy lets me go. He has no authority to even keep me there. And then just to maintain my what do you call it, agency, as I pulled off, I put my head out the window and I went, all right, brother, thanks, or something like stupid like that. And then I was so boiling mad for like 10 minutes on the ride home that I was like, I should have just hit the guy. Like, just hit him. Just thuds as you fly off my fucking windshield. And then I look in my rear view and he's flying through the air. And I'm like, oh, that's weird. Ain't that weird? That's what happens when you walk in front of a 2,000-pound ton of metal. I'm so done. I'm not going to be nice to people anymore. Anyway, it's day 5, and it's been very, very difficult. I'm actually going to finish this on the way home. I wanted to get that car ran out of the way. That makes me look like a unhinged fucking weirdo. Alright, so it's day 5, and I have made it. But it's very unfortunate, and I don't want to start this video on a bad note, but I had a day. I had a day. And it led me to do something I probably shouldn't have done, but to be honest, at this point, my brain is on fire mode, just it's going crazy. I use the slot machine analogy where it's constantly somebody's pulling the slot and it's leading me to think of all the connects I can hit up, but I can't do it because I'm making this series. But here's the thing, is I also can't lie. Like, I'm not gonna lie to the audience. So I've drank a beer, and I drank one of those Fireball shots, and I will get to the withdrawal that I'm going through. But I gotta tell you about this day that led me to drinking a beer. So I woke up, my camera shakes because I hit the thing. I woke up at like 3 in the morning to like, I swear to God, Gregorian chant sounds are in my head every morning now. I wake up and I'm like in this lost, confused phase of just misery and nihilism. And I'm waking up and it's like, as soon as I wake up, I'm back. Oh, here it comes. Day 5. You're gonna make it to day 30? Don't think so. Anyway, that's how my brain works. And I kind of just woke up and paced around. And I drank a lot of coffee, which I should not have. I'm not going to do that again. But here's the thing, is I love coffee in the morning because this is my routine, is I wake up in a fog. And then I make coffee and I smoke a lot and I listen to sad music that makes me cry. Like right now, oh man, I'm listening to all these songs that are just, they make me cry immediately because I'm an emotional mess guy now. But anyway, I woke up fucking drinking coffee like an idiot, which I didn't know was gonna cause hours of anxiety and like restlessness. And it was a bad morning, man. I would say the pain has been at a 4. It's bumping up to like a 6. And I'm just sitting there on my couch drinking coffee, regretting it, going, I'm like, it's like one flew over the cuckoo's nest. I was just sitting there in a bathrobe, shaking, like, and there's I've never even seen the movie, but there's the artist Billie Holiday. Apparently she was a heroin addict. And back in that time, they would just kind of locked Billie Holiday up, and they just put her in a straitjacket for heroin withdrawal. And I've never even seen the movie, but in my head, I picture it so vividly that she's in a straitjacket in a padded room. And when you're like having the jitters, you want to shake your legs and kick your foot and move your arms because can't control my fingers, I can't control my toes. Oh, 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 oh. So she's just bobbing her head back in a fucking straitjacket. And I felt like that. I was just sitting there, weak. I'm telling, like, I can't even sit, comatose. So I'll get to the withdrawal. I'll get to that later, I promise. I got a call from my dad, and he's been trying to go to the gym lately, and we have the same membership to the same gym. We live in the same town. He's been I think he's been actively, like, literally trying to go, or to the point where he gets pissed if I don't put in enough effort. All right, so I had to pause the video. I have no idea what spot of the story I'm at. I think I said, so my dad called me to go to the gym. I didn't really want to go. I'm in absolute withdrawal at this point. I have spent the morning sitting in a chair like one flew over the cuckoo's nest, just like moving my neck around and just fidgeting. And I'm just listening to a podcast that I hate. I don't even want to listen to anything worldly. And I'm clinging to every word. Just like, get me through this next couple of seconds. So he picks me up, we go to the gym, and I'm thinking the whole time, this is the YMCA. And if you've ever had a YMCA membership, you get the option to go to the steam room and the sauna, and then you can get in the hot jacuzzi. I'm like, hell yeah. My bones hurt. My body feels like dying bones surrounded by weak meat. And my mind is going nuts. So we get upstairs into the gymnasium area, which is really cool. You walk in, the first thing you see is like the what are they called? Free weights, where typically like older like nurse ladies will work out, and kind of older people, or like scrawny people like me that don't, they're too afraid to go to the free weights. And then there's a big track above where people run. And I'm like, I'm feeling so weak. But just moments prior, I had logged into my YouTube, and some of these Kratom quitting videos are starting to get like 100 views, and I'm happy. I'm confident. Because, you know, flock, come on, come in, flock to me. Let me lure you in. So I'm like, I don't even feel like doing anything. Like, another thing I'm worried about, I'm losing like muscle mass because I've been working out for a couple months, and I'm going to be completely honest, I am so proud of myself. Like, a couple months ago, like I think it was like May of 2022, I started lifting in the hot sun because I have a basketball court in my house with a weight set. And I was just every day and doing the same 3 stupid exercises. And then 3 months in doing that, I was like, dude, I'm starting to get like shoulders. I've never had that before. My biceps are weak because I don't think I lift right. I don't think I know how proper form. I think every time I lift anything, I'm just putting my whole body into it, and it's damaging to my my scoliosis back. So I don't know how to lift. And I'm in withdrawal, Kratom withdrawal day 5, in the gym, waiting for my dad to come up. So I just go to the closest place that's not too many people. Just, okay, I'll go to this. And I'm like, I started thinking, I was like, you know what? I made it to day 5, and I have not done that in a long time. So I should be proud, and I should push it as hard as I can. And I was. I'm sitting there on the black bench thing with weights, and I'm pretty sure I'm not doing it right. I'm doing that shit. And I'm looking up at the track, and there's people running around. And I eventually got into the spirit where I was like doing 30. As soon as I would hit 20 of these, I would start to feel weak. And trust me, I'm feeling weak lately. And in my mind, I would say, all right, make it to 30. So I'm pushing. I'm not literally doing that, but I'm sitting there. And then I see my dad come in behind me, and I'm pretty sure he's in the same spirit as me. I don't think he's really motivated to work out. But he went to the free weights and started benching. And when you bench, you need a spotter. So I kind of walked up to him. I stood behind him. And he's exhausted. He's just laying there getting ready to bench. He's got a shit ton of weight on that I can't do. I can only do the bar, and then 25 pounds on each side, which isn't that much. But I can do that 10 times, 3 times. And I'm standing behind him. And every time we've gone to this gym in the past, we're like always talking. We're always like mid-story walking around, just ignoring everybody. Because when you go to the gym, there's this like there's this like hunk atmosphere. All these young blonde dudes. And their standoffish attitude, whatever. And I'm spotting him, and he goes, and then I go, but I'm half-hearted, I'm weak, because I'm in Kratom withdrawal. Eventually, he just, like, fucks off to some other area. So I'm like, alright, let me go pretend to lift 10-pound weights or whatever. And then all of a sudden, I heard, like, a sound, and I'm like, that's my dad's voice. And I look over, and I just see my dad is standing there and he's going, "All right, man, sorry." And I just got a bad vibe immediately. So I walk up to him and I can tell he's like heated. And all of a sudden we're like making our exit plan. I'm like, all right, that's enough. And I even joked, I went, A is for effort, right? And then we started walking out and he went, man, like I could tell he was in a bad mood. And he went, I don't want to make any waves here, man. Like, as soon as you start trouble with somebody, you're going to have a problem. Then you get kicked out. And my dad's been kicked out of the gym like twice because he would shave in the sauna, which isn't allowed because it clogs up the drain. And we're walking out of the gymnasium into the steps area. And we're walking down and he starts going, yeah, that guy, man, telling me to put the weights back. And I was like, is that what happened? And he went, yeah. That guy came up to me and told me to put the weights back. And all of a sudden, we just looked at each other. And we knew. Because that's my dad, man. I love that man. Greatest father ever. And he went, let's go back. And I was like, all right. And we knew at that moment, we're like, somebody disrespected my dad. And I'm like the son. I don't know what to do. I have like, all of a sudden, I feel like I have to defend my dad's honor against some guy that told him to put weights back. But we don't stand for that in my family. So we walk back in the gymnasium and we're walking in and all of a sudden I'm feeling like very uncomfortable. And I looked down at my hand and my hand was shaking. And I said, as soon as I looked over at my dad, I knew somebody walked up to him and tried to punk him out. And I hate to admit this, but my dad is so much like me, man. Like, I see myself in him. We both have extreme ADHD. When we do stuff, we're often not even thinking about what we're doing. But what ultimately happened was he was benching, and then he left the weights on the bar. And then he walked away to do something else because he knew he was coming back. Some big douche walked up to him and said, hey, yeah, go ahead and put those weights back. Like, what are you, king of the gym, motherfucker? So we're walking in and my hand's shaking. And I'm not entirely used to that. But there was this weird energy. Like, we got to show this guy what fucking time it is. And we walked in and my dad was like, let's put a bunch of weights on the bar and then just walk out. Like, fuck you, motherfucker. Alright, I'm starting this over for like the 5th time, but so we get into the gym. I'm nervous. And we're walking in, and we both had this, like, synonymous agreement. Like, I'm not gonna be stepped on by this douche. And maybe this is, like, inappropriate to be acting this way. But we walked up to the bench, and my dad starts putting on, like, all these weights. And I started, like, pacing around. And the people that were around that area started looking at me weird. Because I was, like, filled with all these, like, adrenaline emotions. Because I'm afraid. And I'm standing there, and I go, which guy is it? And he went, in the blue. And I said, right there? And I looked at this guy, and he looked at, not the guy that insulted my dad, but this other guy that's lifting or curling or whatever. And I'm in panic mode, to be honest. And so I look at the guy, and he walks over to that machine that you go like this on. And I said, okay, I'm going to walk over to this guy. And I'm going to get right next to him on the next machine. So he's sitting there. And I got on the machine next to him. And I just start pumping it or whatever. But I looked over at him. And I just stared for a long time, like directly at his face. And I wanted to just give him the message like, hey man, if you fuck with my dad again, there's going to be a problem. And he just, and he's an old guy. He's buff as shit. I don't fuck him. Fuck that douchebag. And I'm standing there and I'm just looking at him. And here's the thing. It might be a problem the next time I go into the gym. Because here's the thing. People that have been there for a long time, they all know each other. They do their stupid weights and they walk around and talk to each other. I immediately got the impression that this guy's been there for a long time. Maybe 20 years. He probably knows everybody. But to walk up to somebody that's being completely respectful, like my dad, and tell them to put the fucking weights back. And I remember just thinking, fucking give me one chance, you fucking cocksucker. I'm being really overdramatic. To be honest, what I'm doing right now is the equivalent of pussing out of a fight and then going home and getting tough in the mirror. Like looking at yourself and smoking a cigarette all fast. Because I didn't do anything. And honestly, when I looked at the guy on the machine, he was probably looking at me like, who's this little punk-ass bitch, 5'6" douche? So that was that story. And it was really, we left. And then it was uncomfortable energy for the rest of the ride home. Like, but we knew at that moment, like, it was a really cool father and son moment of like, hey, let's get this guy. And the next time, we'll see what happens. And I swear to God, I'll film it. I will film it. I got this app on my phone that lets me film secretly with a black screen. Good stuff. So I'm home now. And I was so fired up. Feeling all sorts of withdrawal emotions. That I was like, let me get a beer to get me through the rest of this night. And it's unfortunate, but that's the life that I'm living. And it might not be good, but I don't think it's bad. Because I don't like alcohol all that much. Too many bad hangover symptoms. But I'm going to make it to day 6. I know I promised to talk about the withdrawal. I'm spent talking about that dumb story of that stupid motherfucker. Have a good one. Thanks for watching.